And we're back. um, there was some things that I had in mind to talk about, but there was a gentleman, I think, who asked to we talk about improvements to mobile homes that you could do to your home as a do-it-yourselfer, and I believe I could help.
The value.
Yeah, to improve value, resale value. Um, First, you need to there's two different places that you would have to make decisions. One is do you own the land or are you renting that property? Um, then there will be limitations on what you can do for property. Quite often, real nice landscaping around it, flowers and bushes and things like that make a large difference. So you can have things to help accent that home, and believe me, it makes a difference. A chain link fence makes a difference because now it's available to people who have family, like a little kid that might wander out and they don't want it. They want to be able to keep an eye on that child and maybe be able to go inside and get a bathroom break or a drink of water and come back and it's still there. Whereas if you didn't have a fence, you wouldn't have it. Or say you had a dog or some other kind of pet. Here lately I've been seeing potbelly pigs, but anyway, some kind of pet. That chain link fence gives it that secure feeling. So a chain link fence gives a lot of stability to a mobile home, and that's what a lot of people are looking for. If you're trying to get a FHA loan, they're not going to accept regular skirting. They're going to want block foundation around it. Now that block foundation does not support, hold up the house by any means, but it looks as though it's more stable. So that's what you even when you come to financing, that's what you're trying to do. Of course, faded paint hurts, and quite often that paint that's on there, particularly on metal or masonite, it requires being repainted. So you would then have a choice to try to accent the way you want it to accent. And I used to be a big fan of Architectural Digest and pick up colors and schemes for the interior rooms. But now you can do Pinterest and Instagram and get all kinds of different colors and ideas. Now, a metal roof, generally, even if people don't know anything about the maintenance on that roof, it just looks better, cleaner. Does it have to have a soffit and fascia? Actually, this is fascia and this is soffit. On the outside edge, no, it doesn't. Most people really don't notice that much. It's people that are in the construction trades that notice it more when it comes to a mobile home. So you would try to get a metal roof on there at some point. That would bring up the value, and that gets rid of roof rumble and the constant maintenance. You still have maintenance around your vents that go through the roof. Maybe 10 years later you might have to put a ridge cap foam in. But again, you would be paying attention to the color that works best with your colors of your home. So now we've talked about the landscaping, maybe even a sidewalk, chain link fence, or even privacy fence sustained. Those things are not technically connected to the home, but if it's with the property, it certainly makes a difference. And I've seen it done on rentals where they rent the property and they still do nice plants and flowers. It certainly makes a difference. Now, at the bottom, if you are not doing an FHA loan, you don't want to go to the expense that it takes to do concrete foundation and or footings and then block installation, you would go to a metal skirting. And the most common is a white color, but I have done solid black, brown, red, all different kinds of colors, tans. Again, what you're trying to do is accent one color to another.
Curb appeal.
That's the number one thing when it comes to selling real estate, is what its curb appeal is. So that's what we're working on. You don't want to necessarily use high dollar blinds, but blinds do show up inside the windows. So when you look out and you say, oh, it's no big deal, I always keep them closed. But people notice if you're hanging a sheet across it, or putting, no, one person I know that they put tin foil on all the windows.
I know a lot of people do that.
To reflect.
Work at night.
That's not necessarily appealing, and it kind of lends itself, even to the guy that I know did it. He calls it, crack house.
Yeah, I was gonna
curtains.
say meth house curtains.
Meth house curtains, yeah. So you want to get something like blinds that, you don't have to spend a ton of money, but some blinds that look legitimate and not tore up by the animals. That's hard to do. Kids want to bend them and all that kind of thing. So that when you're getting ready to sell, those are things you need to have that you can see from the outside. Another would be, when we talked about the colors on either the side, the siding's pretty much there. You can paint siding, but vinyl siding, but it's specific kinds of paint, and I don't know that any of it's terribly successful.
And we're back.
So we're having problems with the computer. We'll have to buy another one. So our curb appearance is what we're working on. So you need to figure out what color scheme, and then buy your metal that would work with that scheme. So your metal on the skirting, your metal on the roof, and then whatever colors you have for the solid part of the body. And then we talked about the blinds, so they don't look bad from the outside. But I might also encourage you to put shutters, fake shutters up. You can do the fiberglass shutters, get them the size. They don't have to be exact, but you can also do wooden shutters that you make yourself. There's a lot of people out there that make show you different ways to do it. I think I've got a video on how to make wood shutters out of privacy fence materials, and then stain them so that it looks something complementary to what you have. If you do the shutters on every window and got all your paint and your skirting and your landscaping around your bushes and flowers, really pretty, like a nice walkway, even if it's blocks that your pads that you're going to take with you later, then you have a need for a deck that looks nice, maintained nice. There's a lot of videos on how to build a deck, including my channel. So you build a deck that looks nice, has a good entrance. Understand that although the mind doesn't actually click onto it, the getting furniture in and out ends up being something that people instinctively think is correct. So you wouldn't have a small deck that turns immediately to the left or to the right. You would want a deck that would unload straight out, or if you have a small deck, straight out so you can take the furniture straight in. Or you would have big enough so that you could turn on that deck and come down. And that instinctively people think of that as substantial. And a nice looking deck is good on any home. Then finally is the exterior lights. Most of these homes have very, very inexpensive plastic light fixtures. A lot of them called the jelly jar glass, and or other very plastic, cheap plastic. So you would look for nice outdoor fixtures that go by the door, and I think that would make a big difference. And you could probably find some at Habitat for Humanity or on sale or online. I mean, quite often you can get them online, but look at reviews when it comes to that kind of thing. The door can be expensive, but it actually makes a difference also. If your door is pretty worn and sagging on one side, you might want to start thinking about replacing the door with a regular house type door and then putting a screen door, a house type screen door. And that will make a difference. All right, so on the outside, you would have the possibly a fenced yard so they can have their dog, cat, well, cats won't stay in fence, but dog or kids be able to have a place. And you wouldn't have to worry about anybody running up on your property without having to climb a fence. So people are attracted to that. Privacy fence, if it's maintained, and chain link fence otherwise. And then the sidewalks, and then the skirting, the roofing. Do your colors on the siding of the house and shutters, and then window dressing visible from the inside and the outside, and then the light fixtures. And it may be a deck that would look good. There's lots of really nice looking decks out there that really don't cost a lot, or you can build it as you can afford it. So we're going to work our way inside. The number one thing in real estate, period, is what does the kitchen look like? So this is where you start in the two most expensive places in the home is in the kitchen or the bathroom. Now, you can change all the cabinets and you can spend quite a bit of money. Or you can try to do different paints. There's a lot of different examples of that outside, like with Pinterest and Instagram and things like that on how to make the original, very inexpensive cabinets that are there look better, even if they're a little bit worn. Otherwise, you're probably looking at replacing the cabinets a little at a time. Now, there's been a lot of people that go to the trouble of installing marble on top. You're probably gonna have to change the cabinets if you do that. Not guaranteeing it, but probably. It'd be a really nice, and I don't think that will reflect in the sale of the mobile home. It will, but I don't think it'll ever show up monetarily. It might mean the difference between sell or not sell, maybe. So when you walk in, the kitchen is generally fairly roomy. So you would look for really nice, clean countertops, which you can buy and install. When it comes to corners, you have pre-made corners that have plenty of instructions on how to do it. And the ends are you can use an iron to put the ends on those on that Formica cabinets. That makes a big difference if it's worn. A deeper sink will make a difference. Most of the mobile home sinks are very shallow, and a deeper sink will make a large difference. Maybe a disposal. Those are all things that improve your life and also the resale value of that home. So what we're headed toward is what kind of flooring will you have in that kitchen area, and what kind of ceiling paint and wall paint that you would have. The ceilings generally are white, although I've had customers that wanted the walls and the ceilings the same color. That's not always, but by no means. But generally, you can do backsplash ceramic. And there's a lot of different patterns that you can buy in 12 by 12 patterns that one locks into the other and has real nice ends. That makes a huge difference as far as the backsplash. Usually your electrical, if you've got loose outlets and things like that in the kitchen, it's very, very obvious. You want to fix those things. Dress it up, make it look nice, put good paint on it, and if you don't feel confident with your choices, use somebody else's colors or designs, because you can do stencils where you paint in between or over the pattern, and that leaves an imprint on what is already there. Say if you have a yellow and you put a white stencil with rabbits jumping or something. Um, I did a whole house out of Southwestern with stencils. So you can get rid of the batten strips that are on some homes. The newer ones not so much because they're leaning them more and more toward drywall. But you can get away from the batten strips and finish it, even if it's paneling, and then paint it. You can actually put texture, drywall texture, on the paneling. I think I've got videos on that also. So those are all things that you want to do in the kitchen. And if the bottom of the sink has damaged the bottom of the cabinets, you want to start looking at fixing that also. Because that is the number one place that determines what the woman feels about the house. And generally, it's the woman that picks the house. Even if you're on a budget, she's not going to want one that makes her feel bad. Now, she might settle for one that makes her feel bad, but she's not going to want it. So let's make it easier to sell. Let's make it where that woman will be happy when she's, well, it's nice and clean, has a good look to it. I would change the colors, but yeah, it looks good. That's what you're looking for. And generally, houses sell better with furniture in them. Maybe not all the knickknacks. I know people that sold brand new mobile homes. They rented furniture and had them deliver it in, and they paid monthly for that furniture to be there. It was better than cardboard televisions and things like that. Didn't even have electricity on all these, but they rented the furniture, and they said it was because those models sold houses and people could get their own custom made, so that model never had to move. It was just the furniture rental was an expense. So mind you, even if you moved out, you might consider leaving some furniture there to make the sale possible. And you can move it out if they don't want it, or you could include it in your sale. So when it comes into the living room, you again have to decide what kind of flooring you're going to have. Will it flow into the kitchen seamlessly, or do you want it to have a distinctive mark, different colors, different flooring, maybe even different built-in shelving instead of cabinets? Although quite often people don't really care for built-in shelving. They want to be able to put their sectional there or their own cabinets in there. So, but again, think about getting rid of all of the batten strips, do some finishing, spray some texture, do some paint, try to make it as much like a house as you can. Dress it up. I know some people have had issues with paint on the walls where people used to smoke, and that nicotine can bleed through the paint. So you're going to end up using stain blockers to block that nicotine from coming out, block it in. So spend some money on the paint. Don't get out of hand at medium quality paint price, and pay attention to the detail. Fix any broken outlets, because that is an eye. It draws the eye to it. Around the doorway, you want a place where people can kick their shoes off. So you're not going to want that to be carpet. You're going to want that to be some kind of floor covering that's like linoleum or tile that can stand up to water. And people see that distinctively as a place to kick their shoes off. Or put their shoes on before they go outside.
Klutz, Kilts, primer works well.
Kills, primer, Zinsser, pretty much all the stain blockers work about the same. They're really good. Zinsser, now keep in mind when you're using stain blockers, if it's flammable, make sure you don't have a pilot light in your stove or your heater or your central heat running, because that pilot light can ignite the air. Now that's also your water heater that could be gas also. So make sure you don't have a pilot light somewhere that could ignite that gas that's floating in the air until it's gone. Mind you that if you have central air, it's recirculating it throughout the house. So you want to be careful of that when I know of 2 houses that I've had to work on where the houses themselves they were spraying lacquer on new cabinets or lacquer on trim inside the house because it was bad weather, and the central air or the stove, both of those had different scenarios, but they lit up the air and it burnt the house kind of black, about waist high up, and it burnt the people that were there. So mind you, be careful with that. Now, when you're doing stains on the ceiling, there is a Kills Upshot, comes in a can. It works really, really well to block stains in the ceiling. That means mildew or anything else. Um, Again, it's flammable, so be careful. Mind you, there are stain blockers that are not flammable. Just pay attention to which one you get if your scenario has that flame in it. So again, your entry door usually has to have some sort of dramatic feel to it. And I don't want to say over the top dramatic, but maybe some nice trim around it. A nice looking door. Don't have to be a $1,500 door with side lights.
I have an airless sprayer.
Yes. Again, make sure what you're spraying is not flammable. And one of the things about airless.
And you're not letting your wife spray it.
Yeah, one of the things about airless is the liability. So if you don't spend the time to mask everything off, you can actually have a lot of overspray, and now you're fixing that. So just be careful. I can't tell you how many places I drive through neighborhoods and see overspray on the roof of shingles of a conventional built home. And a lot of cars get damaged by overspray on the outside, and it floats down the street.
Says he only uses water-based paint.
That's good, but people really get fussy on the outside of your house. So be careful. Don't let wind carry it away. And water-based can still mess with carpet sometimes. So you spend the time. What is it? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Spend the time to do that, to protect everything you don't want painted. But yeah, I like the airless that we got. We kind of found out that the cheap ones are not very good.
You want to screw it all and do it all at once.
You're gonna have to spend a little bit of money, say like $100 at minimum, to get a good airless. And $200 and $300 is still cheap, but you get a lot for what you spend. If you buy a $20 or $30 or $40 airless, it's not going to last very long. It won't do your job properly, and they're hard to clean. And airless has a lot of responsibility when it comes to cleaning. But I'm not anti-airless. I just know that there's a lot of liability, and so I'm always alarmed when we're using them. So then you got your hallway. Most of the time,
LVP flooring, and I bought a Magnum brand.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good. Well, you're looking for nice, clean flooring that has a good, decent look. It does not have to be terrible expensive. And you can, with the peeling stick, and use glue, and then when the glue just gets set, you can put that peeling stick on there. It won't move. And they make some really nice looking stuff, but make sure it's tasteful when it comes to flooring. I'm kind of skipping over the lights. In your living room, a lot of lights are, they don't lend themselves to the mobile home's looks. So you would want to find something that gets away from the blah blah ceiling fan and very inexpensive ceiling fan.
I'm researching the glue down LVP now.
Yeah, and when you do the glue, quite often you'll be able to see through it when it's ready to put down. It'll be, when you touch your fingers to it, your fingers will stick to it. That's how sticky you want it. You don't want it the glue to come off on your hands, but you want it to, anything gets on it, it's hard to get it off. That's what you're looking for. And you can reactivate it by putting more glue on it quite often, not always. So if it gets stiff on you and you can't, it's not doing what it's supposed to do, and putting more glue. And quite often the glue on a peel and stick will reactivate again. But you want to get nice looking lights, and you really shouldn't have to spend a lot of money for ceiling lights or ceiling fans. So LED is very inexpensive right now. I would imagine that a tasteful looking LED light would lend itself toward a more modern look when they go inside and they feel at home with it. When it comes into the master bedroom, again, you have a different style. Eliminate the batten strips if you can. We already talked about the good window dressings. Interior, you can spend a little bit of money and not a lot, and not just have bleak looking blinds. You can have curtains like in the living room, even on the kitchen window, or shelving that goes around that window. They make that also, or you can make it yourself.
Whenever you're ready.
So, when you go through the living room, it doesn't have to change as far as flooring or ceiling. It can be the same all the way through. But if you want it to, it can, as long as you think it's tasteful. So when you get into the bathroom, you're wanting nice, clean look. If the cabinet's in deteriorated condition, if the shower is deteriorated condition, or the tub, it needs to be replaced. And it's going to cost a little bit of money, but it's worth the while, because that could mean the difference between selling and not selling. A lot of people now are getting away from bathtubs and going to showers, but I don't know that everybody feels that way. Closet, what does it have in it? Just the original shelving, or does you go and put some closet made to make it look nice and clean? So, light fixtures, window dressings, nice flooring, nice paint. Get rid of batten strips, dress up your windows, and that's a really nice presentation. Just doing those things, and it really is not going to break the bank if you do it a little at a time, particularly.
Duracell 8 says the 54-inch tubs suck.
Yes. In order to change those 54-inch tubs, which I have many times done, quite often you have to move a wall. In order to do that, that could make an indentation in the bedroom next to it, where you have to go in and then out. What I have done before is change, instead of the tub running against the outside wall, change it where it's heading toward the doorway, and put it on the toilet side, move the toilet over to the other side, make it where I could have a 60-inch tub and take out, and that means redoing the bathroom quite a bit, but it makes a huge difference. The factory tubs are shallow. They're made of plastic. And if somebody weighs over 300 pounds, it won't hold up. It will break. So whenever you replace it, even if you replace the 54-inch tubs, you might want to, you should go to the fiberglass replacement. That will hold up to whatever weight, and it will survive even if the water gets underneath the tub. Whereas if a plastic tub gets water on the floor and the floor starts giving out, that plastic tub will collapse and break. So. Okay.